Hi, my name's Nikolai, aka 56Miner, and today we're unboxing our June Basics box. This month's box is all about Reactive Ink. We'll go over the materials in the box, talk a bit about how to use them, and I'll share some tips and tricks that I picked up while working with everything. Let's get into it. For our service this month, we have the Pesha White Printing and Drawing Paper. This medium weight paper comes in an 8-sheet set, and it's got a slight tooth to it, and is made from cotton, so it's super absorbent. Now our next 3 items are going to be a custom curated set of the Hero Arts Reactive Ink. Our colors are going to be Fruit Punch, Lemon Drop, and Blue Raspberry. And our brush this month is going to be a round brush from the King Art 9000 Gold series. Now right out of the bottle, our reactive inks are going to offer us some really opaque color and some really beautiful shades. By dipping our brush in a little bit of water, we can activate that pigment and create some very subtle washes. And thanks to the superior quality of our round brush, we can go between using the tip for those neat edges or using the brush on its side to fill in larger areas. What's really nice about these inks is you can always go back and rework them. So we can always fan it out to a lighter color or layer more of that ink on top for more opaque coverage. And because they're so water soluble, we can really dilute them down to create a wide range of really subtle values, like we talked about last month in our liquid graphite box. We can also mix a variety of secondary hues from our 3 primaries. So our yellow and our blue will make some nice greens and teals, while our blue and our red will be more purples and magentas, and our yellow and red will result in more peachy tones. Now to explore more of the more reactive characteristics of our ink, I'm going to start by using some clean water to pre-stretch our paper. So I'm just going to go in with my brush and wet both sides. With our surface still wet, we can start to dab in some of that reactive ink. Now what I'm doing here is laying down a good base layer because we're going to go in and reactivate that ink once it's dry. Here I'm just kind of exercising a loose control over the pigment, so letting it really go where it wants, just trying to explore some different colors and hues on that blue-purple spectrum. You can use whatever colors you'd like for this portion. I'd suggest sticking to just 2 of our reactive inks unless you wanted to do more of a rainbow effect. Now once our paper is fully dry, we can really start to dive into those reactive techniques. So our reactive ink is going to activate with water. Taking our brush after it's been dipped in a bit of water, we can tap on the furlough, which will give us some medium-sized drops, or we can flick the top of our brush, which will give us more of a directional splash. And of course, we can use our brush as we typically would, just using the water. Now the more water we allow to sit on that surface, the more those pigments are going to react and lift, giving us some really fun effects. While our paper dries, let's grab the next item in this month's box, the SketchBox Signature White Gel Pen. Now, a gel pen is a great tool for any artist, and we're really proud of the one that we've made you. With our paper fully dry, we can see the fun texture effects that the reactive ink gave us, and we can shift this into more of a galaxy theme by adding some white dots with our white gel pen. Now we can really supercharge those whites by allowing them to dry just a little bit before going back in and layering them again. And if you want to push that galaxy theme even further, you can incorporate some white lines to draw the constellations in the night sky, just like I've done with the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. And as a final step on this little galaxy piece of ours, I'll go in and add a few shine marks to help balance out the composition. Let's grab the final item in this month's box, the Sarasa Fineliner in Deep Pink. Now, fineliners are great for outlines and line work because they offer us a consistent mark regardless of how we hold the pen. They're great for repetitive elements, cross-hatching, and we can add a little bit more life and organic nature to our pen by bending our lines a bit. And if you're the patient type, they're also great for pointillism, which is when we build value by making a series of small dots and reducing the space between those dots to imply value. While pointillism does take a bit more time than other drawing methods, you can get some fun effects if you stick with it. And while pens aren't always seen as the most value-based medium because we typically think of outlines for them, we can use them as a value-based medium by condensing the spacing between our lines. it kind of creates an illusion that we have value and form. Now that we have a good understanding of our materials, let's do something a bit more complex. For this, I'm going to take our pencil from our April Pantone box and use it to sketch out my initial concept. This month, I'm going to take some inspiration from our prompt, Sweet Treat, and draw one of my favorite fruits, clementines. And while I'm doing this, I'm focusing on the fundamental shape of that clementine, just like how we talked about in April. Next, I'll go in with our fineliner and add some line work, making sure not to outline every part of my sketch, just the most important. I'm going to use some broken lines to imply some shape, and this will help my drawing from looking too stiff, as typically when you outline everything, it flattens out your image. With my line work pretty much complete, I'll go in and use our pointillism technique to add some texture to the outer rind of that clementine. Making sure to leave areas of highlight with very few dots, and increasing those dots in areas of shadow. Next, I'll take some of our diluted lemon drop yellow, and I'm going to use that for the interior color of the rind, as well as the segments of the clementine itself. Once that's complete, I'll go in with our undiluted lemon drop yellow and use that in areas of shadow. I'm not going to worry about making too smooth of a gradient at this point, because I can always go back in and reactivate those inks to get a softer blend. Now, to give our clementine or our cutie a little bit more of that characteristic orange color, I'm going to take a single drop of our fruit punch and mix it in with our lemon drop. This will allow me to create a lighter orange, just like we did with the diluted lemon drop, which I'll use for the rind, and a darker orange that I can use for my shadow areas. Once I'm happy with my values, I'll go in and blend certain areas, like the segments on the clementine, with a bit of clean water, as it'll reactivate that pigment and create some nice smooth transitions. We can also use our pointillism technique with our brush by creating small dots and just using the tip. So I'm going to use that to transition between the outer orange and the inner white of our rind. Now with my paper fully dry, I can go in and work on some highlights. Now on the clementine itself, I'm going to go in and use a scrumbling technique in order to create some texture. Scrumbling is more of a loose doodle that you can use to imply value. So the tighter that those lines are together, the darker, or in this case, lighter it's going to look because we're working in white gel pen. I'm also going to go in and use our white gel pen to clean up some of that pointillism we did with our brush around the rind edges. And I'm also going to add a few dots to the lightest point of that exterior rind. That'll help reinforce our sense of three-dimensional form. I'll also use some bending lines on the interior of the rind just to really push that sense of form. And with that, our video is complete. Hope you enjoyed it, learned a few things, and if you post your work online, make sure you use hashtag SketchBoxJune. We love seeing what y'all create each month. And if you want to check out any of our previous videos, head over to our YouTube channel where you can like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.